Welcome to episode 2 of the Physique Formula podcast. Today's topic is 7 of the best fat loss and muscle building hacks that I learned in 2024 and how you can use them in 25 for success. Real quick, this podcast is brought to you by PhysiqueFormulaSupplements.com. That is my all-natural supplement brand, artificial sweetener-free BCAAs, pre-workout, natural omega-3s, digestive enzymes at Betaine. Use code PF Podcast 20 at checkout to save 20% on your order, and also follow us on Instagram, Official Physique Formula. Like and subscribe to the podcast where we bring you 5 minutes of proven science to help you perform better. So the topic today, number 1, food is fuel. And I know this sounds rudimentary. I'm guilty of it myself. I often view food as something I need. I need to have those chips. I need to have a certain amount of carbs. Scientifically, we know that snacking and over-consuming calories is the quick road to wrecking our metabolic health. A huge shift for me began when I looked at food and what it could do for me and what it could take away from me. And I snacked less in between meals, and metabolically I was healthier. My digestion had time. I was able to enter that sympathetic, relaxing form of my nervous system so that my body wasn't always digesting. Intuitive eating is more potent for your long-term metabolic health than a lot of the fancy topics that we'll uncover and talk about. Tip number 2, carbohydrates fueling my workout. You don't really need carbs pre-workout. There was a paper published in 2023 that gave individuals a very low carbohydrate diet or they gave them a low carbohydrate diet or a very low carbohydrate diet in trained males. The conclusion was that there was no performance benefit from ingesting carbs pre-workout or intra-workout, aside from preventing hypoglycemia. It didn't let their blood sugar drop. And so when you remove those carbs pre-workout, particularly when we get to my last point about fasting, you'll oxidize fat a little bit more readily, and then you get a little bit of the carbs post-workout, honey, coconut water, something like that to refill and volumize your cells. Tip number 3, seed oils are problematic. You guys can go back and listen to episode 1 where I do a deep dive into that. Tip number 4, methylene blue is going to be talked about in 2025 a lot. There's a lot of buzz in it right now for the endurance community in terms of creating anaerobic metabolism to allow you to sustain elevation at a sustained higher heart rate. So the higher your heart rate goes, taking methylene blue allows you to maintain that aerobic metabolism. Right now, a lot of biohackers are using it. I have not. I'm cautiously optimistic about it, however. Tip number 5, breath work is critical. Almost everybody has dysfunctional breathing. Listen, we sit at a computer all day. We breathe too much with our shoulders. We're too used to breathing out of our mouth. Simply going for a walk and actively trying to keep your mouth shut will increase the CO2 in your system and allow you to use oxygen better. So mouth taping, nose strips, just shutting your mouth on long walks, breath hold work, some of the more advanced stuff. It is key to our recovery and key to us feeling better. Tip number 6, the more muscle that you have, the better your brain functions. This is a paper published in 2024, and everything will be linked below. All the research studies concluded that building muscle mass over long periods maintains cognitive function during times of stress and aging. Literally, higher lean mass and being proportionally strong relative to your total body weight leads to improved benefits for cognitive function. Tip number 7, fasted training is beneficial for your system. This is something I intuitively lean more and more towards. We know that training fasted is going to lead to an increase in fat oxidation. I don't think the burning of muscle tissue is going to be that great, specifically if you follow some of my post-workout recommendations. But largely speaking, we don't have a lot of hormetic stressors in 2025. You can go in a sauna, you can take a cold plunge. All of those are short-term stressors that we know are good for our nervous system, but largely training fasted is a stressor on our nervous system and will allow us to not only burn more fat, but just as our body as a whole will perform better. So those are my 7 tips. Subscribe, guys. Instagram, Official Physique Formula. Comment on this podcast. Subscribe. We need more listeners as we're getting this started. And PhysiqueFormulaSupplements.com. Have a great day.